Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and hello on everyone on Zoom. Hope you're all staying cool. We are reading the Teachings and Reminiscences of Swami Premananda. The name of the new version of the book is Memories of a Loving Soul. And on my copy, we're on page 95. We're with the account by Swami Prabhavananda, who was head of the Vedanta Society of St. Louis. We see Swami Premananda as teacher and spiritual mentor for the young monks at Belur Monastery, as well as a warm and affectionate host to devotees visiting the monastery. And remember last week we had him with Nikhilananda telling Nikhilananda he was a fool because he said, "You don't understand Swami Vivekananda." So now Swami Prabhavananda. Few great men were as accessible as Swami Premananda. I saw him for the first time in February 1910 at the headquarters of the Ramakrishna order at Belur Math near Calcutta. I was walking up the steps from the Ganga towards the original monastery building when I met a Swami in ochre robes coming down. I bowed to his feet and inquired, "Where is Baburam Maharaj?" "Here," he said, pointing to himself. Then he asked me, "Why do you wish to see him?" "Maharaj, Swami Brahmananda, has told me to see you," I answered. Then Swami Premananda inquired where I had come from and what I had been doing. From this first meeting until his passing away in July 1918, I had the privilege of seeing him at different times, and I cherish the memories of his unique personality as a source of great joy and inspiration. As abbot of the Belur Monastery, he did not stay very much within his room. He went about the premises several times during the day. It was his practice to observe the young monks at work and give them instruction, supervise the gardens, the orchards, and the cowsheds, and meet the visitors, who were mostly strangers and came without notice. He received the newcomers as cordially as old friends. He sat among them very informally in the living room or on either of the porches, and spoke to them with great fervor on spiritual ideals and practices, as exemplified in the lives of Sri Ramakrishna and other illustrious personages. All listened to him with rapt attention. He would hardly talk on anything but God and religion. As pointed out by Sri Ramakrishna, a distinctive mark of a saint is that he shuns all vain talk and speaks only about God. This was quite evident in Swami Premananda. His mode of living was exceptionally simple. A dhoti, a wrapper, and a pair of brown slippers constituted his complete dress. He seldom wore a seamed garment. In deep winter, if I remember rightly, he occasionally used a woolen jacket. He had only a few belongings. During his tours, his attendant had to carry no suitcase for him, but just a bundle. The spirit of renunciation was manifest in all his ways. He would hardly allow himself any luxury whatsoever. Swami Premananda was very loving by nature. With motherly feeling, he instructed and guided the young monks and novices, and was ever attentive to their needs. Not only did he urge them to practice meditation at regular hours, but he also insisted on the right performance of their respective duties, be it the worship of the deity or the paring of vegetables. Even such minor tasks as sweeping the floor or the removal of weeds from the yard was to be done with due attention and accuracy as an act of worship. While pouring ink into the ink pot, not a drop was to be spilled. Once I was peeling a particular special kind of vegetable. Swami Premananda said, "Much substance is going with the skin." He was opposed to waste, no doubt, but he disliked the wrong way of doing things even more. He tried to impress on our minds that the test of character is not in performance under the public gaze, but in the faithful discharge of ordinary duties, which generally go unnoticed. He was equally affectionate towards the lay devotees. Not only did he care for their spiritual enlightenment, but for their material well-being also. When any one of them became sick, he presented them with fruits, vegetables, and other produce from the monastery garden. He found great pleasure in feeding the devotees. All those who visited the Belur Math monastery around noontime were served lunch. To feed the latecomers, mostly strangers, sometimes fresh meals had to be cooked, even after the kitchen had been cleaned and the servants had gone to rest. On such occasions, Swami Premananda himself would go to the kitchen and offer his services. What impressed me most when I lived at the monastery was the great esteem and veneration that everyone, senior or junior, had for Swami Premananda. He was looked upon as the very embodiment of divine love and purity. He is pure to the marrow, Sri Ramakrishna had said. His very touch was considered sanctifying. I had no idea before that man could revere man so highly. The devotees assembled wherever he went, not only the Hindus of all classes and communities, but the Mohammedans also gathered around him. Even persons who were not avowedly religious and who rarely came to the local ashram would invariably come to see Swami Premananda when he visited the place. I often wondered who invited them. Besides the grown-up men and women, young students were drawn to him. Several of them entered into monastic life. Their devotional ardor, as far as I know, was mostly the result of their contact with Swami Premananda. He accepted none as a disciple in the strict sense. Whoever approached him for initiation was directed to go to Holy Mother or Swami Brahmananda. Such was his veneration for them that he did not think that he could play the role of a guru while they were alive. I knew a schoolboy who was very eager to receive initiation from Swami Premananda and had looked upon him as his guru for several years. One day, in our presence, he implored the Swami for initiation. We too appealed on his behalf, but Swami Premananda was adamant. So with his approval, we arranged for the boys' trip to Jairambati, where the Holy Mother was at the time. But though he was reluctant to give initiation, he was ever anxious for the spiritual awakening of all who came to him. By exhortation, by blessing, by touch, by thoughts, by any one or more of these methods, he tried to arouse their dormant spiritual potentialities. One morning, after deep meditation, in a rapturous mood, his eyes and face radiant, he came forward to me, put his hands on my shoulders, and shook me. A thrill passed through my whole being. On another occasion, he held me with his arms and blessed me. At the time of worship or meditation, his countenance flushed with devotion. Even his chest reddened. I noticed this not only in the shrine at Belur, but also in other temples which I had the privilege of visiting with him. One day at Dhaka, Swami Premananda was invited to a dinner at a devotee's house. All the sadhus of the local ashram, many devotees, and some friends of the host participated in the feast. We were all seated in the living room before dinner time. Swami Premananda was speaking to the group with his usual fervor. In the audience was the curator of a museum who was a skeptic. In the course of the talk, the Swami said, "Pray to God for spiritual treasures, such as devotion, knowledge, power of discrimination, dispassion, and so forth." The gentleman interrupted, "Why should we pray to God? Does he not know what we need?" The Swami answered, "Yes, if you feel that way. If you are convinced that God knows all your needs and will fulfill them, then you don't have to pray. But many pray to God for the fulfillment of their worldly desires, for material things. Is it not wise to pray to him for eternal instead of the evanescence? Who but a fool will approach the King of Kings for a trifle? If you pray to God, pray to him for the highest." On several occasions, Swami Premananda addressed public meetings. I heard him a few times. He always spoke extemporaneously. Stirring words flowed from the depths of his heart and moved the audience. He stressed the idea of serving God in man. Any work done in the spirit of veritable worship, any work done in this spirit is veritable worship, as pointed out by Sri Ramakrishna and expounded by Swami Vivekananda. To carry into practice the sublime truths of Vedanta is the main objective of the Ramakrishna Math mission. This, Swami Premananda always held in view and exemplified in many ways. Once, in a remote village in East Bengal, he initiated some sanitary work at the risk of his health. In his solicitude to serve others, he put himself under severe strain. As a result, his health broke. He contracted fever, from which he did not recover. Okay. C.C. Sen is the next reminiscence. He is a retired customs official who lives in, I don't think he's alive anymore, Barlagunj in the foothills of the Himalayas. In the reminiscences which follow, Mr. Sen tells how Swami Premananda used to encourage the lay devotees to live a spiritual life. Excuse me. It was between 1912 and 1915, when I was a boy in my teens, that I had the rare good fortune of meeting several of Ramakrishna's disciples. I used to go to the Belur Math attracted by their love, which was like the pull of a magnet drawing a needle. They never preached high philosophies to us. I was a worker and was trying to mold my life according to the teachings of Swamiji. Swami Premananda used to encourage us to do village work, and so we did. We founded a school, a dispensary, a gymnasium. A few of us joined together and bought land for farming in order to support the school. The same band of boys opened a grocer's shop in Calcutta to help the school and the farm with cash. But this kind of work was dangerous in those days. The British government did not want to impart education to the masses and suppressed mercilessly any physical culture center. When our house was searched by the police, Swamiji's letters and the Gita were among the books confiscated, and I was marked by the police. We reported every incident to Swami Premananda. He told us, "As long as you have no bombs and revolvers, what do you care?" This was the time, remember, when India was trying to get its independence from the British. So there was quite a movement among the, particularly I think among the young men of Bengal. And they followed a militant leader called Subhash Ghosh. And they were very, very idealistic and active. So as long as you have no bombs and revolvers, what do you care? Go ahead and give your life for the country. You are doing Swamiji's work. Thus the contact became closer. We also did voluntary work at Belur Math on festive occasions. One day I was setting places for midday dinner below the old shrine room when I heard the sound of a melodious voice accompanied by a mridanga coming from the guest room. I left my work and went there unannounced. A young boy was singing a classical song and playing the tampura, while an older man accompanied him on a mridanga. The whole place was supercharged, as if by electricity. I was enthralled by the music. Then I felt a tap on my shoulder. Looking around, I saw Swami Premananda standing beside me. "What are you doing here?" he said. "Listening to the music," I said. He also listened for a few minutes and then said, "Swamiji's voice was much sweeter than this, and Thakur's, Sri Ramakrishna's, was sweeter than Swamiji's. Come, let us go. There is much work to do." I followed him meekly, wondering how sweet Swamiji's and Thakur's voices must have been when singing devotional songs. I could not imagine it because the song I had just heard seemed perfect to me. Another day, when the noonday sun was blazing, we all sat down for our meal. A man was standing under a tree across the Belur Math courtyard. We had not yet begun to eat. Swami Premananda asked me to invite the man to dinner. I did as I was told. The man explained that he was a plainclothes man on duty and could not come and join us. When I informed Swami Premananda accordingly, he ordered me to go and fetch the officer. He came and Swami said to him, "Have some prasad, food offered to the Lord. That will cleanse your body and mind. Sit with us, eat with us, listen to our conversations. Then you will be able to do better work." This is when, at that time in India, they were watching everyone who was trying to educate people and trying to find them evidence of being traitors or instigators of revolution. During the meal, Swami treated the man as a special guest. I heard afterwards that this police officer became a great admirer of Swami Premananda. We looked on Swami Premananda as the very embodiment of love. Yet one day he said to us, "What love can I give you? Not 1/100th part of the love that we received from Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, how he loved us." One day I made a request of Swami Premananda. He graciously said, "Ask Sri Ramakrishna whatever you want. He will fulfill all your needs. Know that he is our living Lord." Then the Swami blessed me and prayed for me. He was standing with his eyes closed, repeating the name of the Lord, when I got up from prostrating at his feet. And this is another very interesting scientist, Boshi Sen, head of the Vivekananda Laboratory in Almora in the Himalayas, formerly assistant to Dr. J.C. Bose, is a devotee who knew many of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. He tells the following incident. Now, do I have this correct, Vrajaprana? Dr. J.C. Bose was the first man to find responses when plants were talked to.
Yes, and he was poo-pooed, and I realized much later he was correct.
Yeah, that everyone said he was being ridiculous, but he was the first scientist who showed scientifically that if you talk to your plants, they grew better, and if you... I'm sorry?
And if you hurt them...
Yeah, and if you hurt them, they would curl up and not do well. So this, it was quite important at the time, though people didn't recognize it as such. And Boshi Sen had been his assistant. During his last illness, when Swami Premananda was staying at Deogar, his attendant, Kanai Maharaj, Swami Anantananda, wanted to see him take more nourishment and tried to conceal the extra pints of milk offered him by boiling the milk down. Swami Premananda, who was very austere about his diet, must have suspected that he was being given more milk than usual. And one day, he suddenly asked how much milk was being purchased for him. Of course, Kanai Maharaj had to tell the truth and answered, 3 quarts. "How is that possible?" exclaimed Swami Premananda. "You must have been making sweets or drinking the milk yourself." Kanai Maharaj felt deeply hurt and made up his mind to leave the ashram that night. After attending Swami Premananda as usual, he quietly slipped away and walked off as fast as he could. He walked many miles, but all the time he was thinking, which attendant is taking care of him now? How will he get proper service? Suppose his mosquito net has accidentally got loose. His feet began to drag, and it was just as if someone were pulling him irresistibly back. Finally, he turned around and reached Swami Premananda's bedside just as dawn was breaking. "So you're back, my child," Swami Premananda said in a tone of infinite love. "I couldn't sleep all night after you left." Kanai Maharaj felt like he was walking on air. Now, the last reminiscence, well, not really the last reminiscence. Anyway, Swami Prabhavananda. Now, he was head of the Vedanta Society of Southern California, had the privilege of associating with Swami Premananda and of serving him on a number of occasions. In his memories, which follow, he recalls one of the first lessons as a novice and gives us insight into Swami Premananda's relationship with his brother disciples. There is a saying that only a jeweler can know the value of a jewel. Similarly, only illumined souls can really understand and appreciate another illumined soul. This was evident in the great love and affection that disciples of Ramakrishna had for each other. When Swami Turiyananda and Swami Premananda met after not having seen each other for several years, they prostrated before each other. Swami Turiyananda was the first to get up. He said, "Brother, no one can surpass you in humility." One day I was present when Swami Premananda said to Swami Brahmananda, who was known as Maharaj, "Let us get rid of this Garwa cloth. It advertises that we are monks." He was in such a mood of renunciation that even the traditional monastic dress seemed to him a barrier to complete self-effacement. Maharaj had a great sense of fun. He used to tease Swami Premananda through me in an affectionate way. Once while I was massaging Maharaj, he whispered to me, "Go to Brother Babaram in the next room and give him a massage." Now, Swami Premananda was not in the habit of accepting personal service from anyone and never let himself be massaged. But as long as Maharaj had given me this order, I meant to carry it out. I was then only 18 years old. I went to Swami Premananda's room and opened the door. The Swami was lying on his cot, covered with a sheet. I took one of his feet and began to massage. Swami Premananda got up and said, "Go away. I don't want a massage. Go to Maharaj." But I did not listen to his protest. Again, I pulled his leg toward me and began to massage, explaining, "Maharaj asked me to do it." This continued for some time. Every time the Swami objected, I told him that I had to carry out Maharaj's order. Finally, he relaxed, and I gave him a good massage. I was blessed to serve him. I remember a board meeting at the Ramakrishna Order's trustees early in the year of 1915. Swami Sardananda, the secretary, arrived from the Udbodhan office and asked, "Where is Brother Babaram?" Brother Babaram is Premananda. "He's upstairs in the shrine room," I informed him. Swami Sardananda tiptoed upstairs. I followed him. In a corner of the room, Swami Premananda was seated, absorbed in meditation. Swami Sardananda was a big, strong man. He lifted the slight, motionless figure of his brother disciple and carried him downstairs, dropping him in the courtyard. Swami Premananda landed on his feet and began to dance in ecstasy. Maharaj, Swamis Turiyananda, Sardananda, Shivananda, and Subodhananda all joined him. Maharaj danced in the center, and his brother disciples circled around him. The whole place vibrated with their spiritual fervor. They danced and sang for about an hour. It seemed as if they were calling all mankind to be liberated and to share in the bliss of God. Now, if we could all have board meetings like that, it would make going to them worth it. During my last visit with Swami Premananda, he was very ill. He was then living at the Udbodhan office in Calcutta. He asked me to stay there with him and to assist Swami Sardananda in the secretarial work of the order. Of course, I was very happy at this suggestion. But within an hour, I received a letter from Maharaj at Puri asking me to come to him immediately. So I went to Swami Premananda and read the letter to him. He said, "Write to Maharaj that you can't come, that you're staying here." "How can I do that?" I asked him. Maharaj was my guru. Swami Premananda's temper was rising. "What? You won't obey me?" he asked. "But sir, when it comes to you or Maharaj, I must obey Maharaj." This answer irritated him all the more. "Get away from me," he exclaimed. "I can't look at your face." Somehow, Swami Premananda's anger did not affect me. Deep in my heart, I knew he was just acting, and that his plans for me had been prompted by his love. But I left him because he was sick, and I did not want to excite him unduly. I went downtown to do some errands before my trip to Puri. In the meantime, Swami Premananda had sent for me. As soon as I returned to the Udbodhan office, I went to his room. He had ordered my favorite sweets and asked me to sit before him and eat. He would not let me go. Then he inquired, "Are you angry with me?" "Why should I be angry with you, sir?" "Because I scolded you." "But, sir, your scolding was a blessing." Then Swami Premananda said, "Well, this is the last time you will see me. We shall all be gone. You boys will have to take charge of the mission work. I wanted you to learn these duties from Swami Sardananda, but it seems that Maharaj has other plans for you, so go." His mood changed. Like a little boy, he said, "Don't tell Maharaj that I scolded you." Then he asked me to send him some holy water from the Jagannath temple in Puri. As soon as I came to Maharaj, he inquired about Swami Premananda's health. I told him that he was very sick. Maharaj talked for a while about how his brother disciple had contracted his fatal illness in East Bengal in his desire to serve others. Suddenly he inquired, "Did he ask anything of you?" "Yes, Maharaj, he asked for some holy water." Maharaj became excited. "What? Such a great soul asked for such a small thing of you, and you kept quiet so long? Do you know how great he is? In whichever direction he looks, the whole direction becomes purified." He immediately ordered Swami Shankarananda, his secretary, to send some holy water to his brother disciple. Okay, and next we will be in the Society of the Holy with Swami Omkareshwarananda. And I hope everyone is staying well, not too hot. It's cooler here today rather than yesterday. It's cooler than it was yesterday. It was over 90 yesterday. Today it's only 88. And I know, Leanne, that you're all in the triple digits. 88 sounds cool. Ganga, and you're okay? No hurricane yet?
Absolutely, totally fine. We just had some feeder bands that lasted like 10 minutes. It was
Okay.
crazy. Nothing.
They made it sound very scary on the news last night.
Of course they did. Yeah, they made it sound scary to us too. I was a little worried, but we wound up being just fine.
Okay, that's good. Well, Saturday we will have the Gospel of Ramakrishna reading, as usual at 5 here in the temple. Sunday, the topic of the talk is going to be best friend, worst enemy. And I know you all know what I'm going to be talking about. Straight out of the Gita. Best friend, worst enemy. Okay, have a good rest of the week, and I hope we'll see you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Take care.
Thanks, Krishna Pranam.